You're listening to Systemic Era Podcast. The failure was designed.
White evangelicals now regret the deal they made with the devil. Report, based on an article by Alex Henderson. Evangelical loyalty is not faith, it is power maintenance. The bargain was political. Trump's weak approval ratings do not matter much inside the white evangelical bloc that still props him up. The source article is about a religious constituency that treats him less like a president than like a vessel, a man whose vulgarity, infidelity, and felony conviction are not deal breakers because he delivers institutional wins on abortion and trans rights. That is the story. The rest is devotional camouflage. Who actually holds power? White evangelical leaders and voters are not passive believers trapped by circumstance. They're an active political force that helped build Trump's winning coalitions by margins of 75 to 85%, then helped normalize him as anointed by God. That is not accidental drift. It is organized permission. Trump, in turn, has used that permission to consolidate power where it matters most: the courts, the policy state, and the machinery that turns cultural resentment into concrete harm. The article notes that his court helped overturn Roe, while abortion access and the abortion rate have not behaved like the apocalyptic fantasy evangelicals are sold. The promise was moral restoration. The reality has been political leverage. The lie of moral seriousness. Evangelical support for Trump is routinely dressed up as principle. It is nothing of the sort. Rev. Jared Stacy is right to call it a gamble rooted in anxiety, not faith, hope, or love. The movement's actual operating logic is simpler. Fear Democrats, excuse Republican cruelty, and call the resulting wreckage obedience. That is why the article's most important detail is not Trump's behavior. It is the gap between evangelical rhetoric and evangelical practice. These are the same circles that once invoked character as a test of presidential legitimacy. They abandoned that standard the moment it threatened their partisan power. Deliberate harm, renamed as confusion. The weakest frame in political coverage is the habit of treating this as a mystery. It is not mysterious that people who want institutional dominance will cling to a leader who gives them judges, rhetorical cover, and permission to intensify the culture war. It is not confusion when a movement keeps backing the man who rewards it. Former supporters like Rihanna Takesir described leaving the echo chamber and seeing the damage directly through DACA students and other people Trump's politics were designed to hurt. That is the key moral split the article exposes. Proximity to consequences clarifies what doctrine is being used to hide. When the injured are visible, the sanctimony starts to collapse. The movable middle is the real story. The source ends on a small but important crack. Some evangelicals are beginning to ask whether Trump really represents Christian values. That question matters only if it leads somewhere. On its own, it is too late and too convenient. The damage was done when the movement turned Christianity into a delivery system for reactionary power. The larger pattern is familiar. Authoritarian politics do not survive on open cynicism alone. They survive on institutions that translate resentment into legitimacy, then call the result moral seriousness. White evangelicalism has done that work for Trump. The cruelty is not a side effect. It is the price of admission. The pattern underneath. This is what political decay looks like in plain view. A religious movement lending sacred language to a corrupt strawman so long as he keeps handing back power. Not reform. Not witness. Bargain politics with holy branding. The lesson is not that evangelicals were misled. Many were willing participants. The lesson is that when institutions trade truth for leverage, they do not lose their influence. They convert it into a weapon. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Cusel, thanks for listening.